Hi and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to get that one in the camera as well. And as you might notice, I'm a bit crooked, but hey, that's it. What you see is what you get. Welcome to my video today, which is going to be about the subconscious self. Because as a holistic therapist for 15 years, I have seen this pattern of people out there who is living their life based on their emotions. And sadly, and most importantly, they are making their decisions based on their emotions. Many people out there is constantly acting out in a certain way because they're trapped in old emotions. And so many people out there have health issues like I once used to have. I have these scars here everywhere on my body. I used to be a black belt in I used to have a black belt in self-destructive behavior. I had chronic pain. I left the army after 10 years and I had PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I was struggling with arthritis. I was struggling with 2 eating disorders. I didn't want to live. I had so many traumas from my past, and like most people, 95% of my behavior was controlled by my subconscious self, which is in my belly and in your belly. And I have been in this Facebook group for a while. Who am I? So welcome. I am Julie, said the French way, Julie Johansson from warriorsheart.dk. It's also called intuitivementor.dk. I used to be 10 years in the army. I have boxed with the national team. I have been in the program The Gladiators on television. I have been driving the fastest motorcycle in its class. I've been quite a rebel in my earlier days. And when I left the army, I ended up in a wheelchair for a while. And today I got my full mobility back in my body. And recently, like today, wearing my running pants, I'm gonna go running again because I haven't been able to run for 4 years because I have cartilage damage in my knee. And how can I suddenly run? And why don't I have any cartilage damage anymore? Well, I've been working with my subconscious self, which I'm an expert at. I'm an alchemist, I'm a numerologist, I'm a psychic. And when I was in this Facebook group, I noticed that all these essential oils that I am taking myself, so many people won't take certain nutrients, supplies, vitamins, minerals, essential oils from doTERRA. They won't go exercising, they won't change their diet, they won't change their behavior, even though their life is a mess. Why? Because all these people, which I call sensitive people who is out of balance, these people make their decisions based on their emotions, because they live their life by default, like most people do. It's not because you're abnormal or weird or anything. I'm weird, you might be weird too, and it's good to be different. So sometimes you might hear me online say that you and I, not me anymore, but I used to have it, we can have a system I call it a system that is turned against ourselves. So many years ago, when I seeked out healers and therapists and body therapists and psychics to help me with all the challenges that I had, none of them could help me. Nothing what they said resonated with my system. And one day I said to my mentor, there's something wrong, and my tears were just running from my face, and I said, something is wrong. I'm not making any progress despite the hard effort I'm putting into changing things. And we talked about it, and at that time I started working with the subconscious self, the inner child, which I had already done that, But I took that knowledge to another level. So if you were to call me and I would say, well, you had to follow your eat right for your blood type, because that's one of the lifestyles I follow. I follow the medical medium for 4 years. I'm following eat right for your blood type. I have been following that one for 17? Yeah, 17 years. And I have been following Fit for Life for 15 years in order to cleanse out all my allergies, my pains, the bad skin. I don't have that today. I'm not wearing any makeup unless, besides from the mascara, which is chemical free. So what I discovered is that, especially today, I realized that throughout the years, that sensitive people go through life, eat the food that they do, base their decisions, avoid things, are holding themselves back, are sabotaging themselves, their kids, their relationship, their jobs and their career and life, because they live their life out and from their emotions. The experts call it that you live your life per default, because you do what your subconscious self here in the belly, what it does and reminds you to do every day. You're stuck in an old loop. And stay tuned, because I'm going to teach you a technique to take back the power and help yourself stop making the wrong decisions based on what your fucking emotion is telling you. Because do you know why I ended up in a wheelchair? Do you know why I had 2 eating disorders? Do you know why I didn't want to live on this planet? Do you know why I had to let go of my family and I had a rough time in the army? Do you know why I have faced death more than 7 times? Because I lived my life with my emotional glasses on all the time. I looked at people, and from my subconscious self, the programming came up and said, I don't like her. Without even knowing it, I was saying this, I don't like her because she's a reflection of my mom who neglected me. Ooh, I don't like men because they reminded me of my dad who physically abused all of us. Many people have an eating disorder without even knowing it, because they eat the food that they do because they make the decisions based on their emotions. What's so sad today is that so many parents are having a struggle with their kids. It's annoying that one. Ooh, I know what to do. I might help. Careful with your ears. Yeah, didn't that help a little? So many people today, especially I'm talking about the parents. So many parents today are struggling with, it helped a little. So many parents today have so many daily struggles with their kids. Do you know why? It's not because of the kids. Do you know what kids are and are supposed to be like? You and I and kids, when we were kids, you and I, and when kids are kids, they are fucking annoying. That's what kids are. It's about testing your boundaries in order for the child to figure out what's right and what's wrong and how far can I go. So I'm going to say it again. Children, and when you and I were kids, children are meant to be annoying, provocative, a fucking pain in the ass. They are. They can't help it. Kids are demanding. They're selfish. They're little terrorists, terrorizing everyone. But you know why? It's about limits. It's about boundaries. And the kids will go to extremes to test your inner child, to test your ability to stand up, not from your false self taught from your parents. The kids need you to show them the boundaries so that they don't live out there, all the way out there, or all the way out there. It's your task as a parent to train your kids so that they know, like this, that their masculine self, that's my right hand, and their feminine self will be balanced, so that they know that being 100% polite won't help anyone throughout lives. You will just get smashed over from other people. It doesn't help going through life being completely masculine, dominant, arrogant, bitter, harsh, controlling, manipulative. We have to have the balance, and it's your task as a parent to teach that to your kids, to integrate both your heart and some of your mind when you train your kids to be the harmonious little people that they're supposed to be. And that is why you and I, being an old, deep, aware, sensitive souls, have the struggles that we do. We're not comfortable in the outer areas of our personality. We're not fine with being weak, sad, lost, submissive, anxious, insecure, ugly. Our personality can be ugly whether we want it or not. And when you're exploding daily, it's because you're out of tune with your subconscious self and your emotions. And when you're having all these tantrums with your family and your children, it's because you're living per or by default. You're living out your subconscious self. As a body therapist myself, I'm not a body therapist, but I've been working with body therapy for 15 years, and I'm a body talk mentor, I'm a body behavioral expert, what is my tagline? I'm a body behavioral transformation expert. I can sense your body, and I can easily help you change your behavior. And I do that by teaching you that you're not your emotions. As working with body therapy, we're being taught that the belly up here is the entrance to our subconscious self, to our psyche, not psychic abilities, but psyche. And what I don't know is going on down here as well as you, it vibrates up through the nervous system like that into our brain, and then it vibrates out to our system and goes into our amygdala brain and the reptile brain. So when you're stuck in an old loop of self-destructive behavior where you're eating like crap, you're eating what you shouldn't eat, you're mistreating your children, you are not even being fair to your children, and you're even doing what our parents did, you are, what's the word for that in English? When you're not treating your kids as equals. Many of us have come out of a childhood like that. Some kids are easy to love, and some kids are harder to love. And it doesn't mean that the kid who's harder to love deserves less love. This child just needs a different way of being loved. So let me get back to you and the fact that so many people are making their decisions based upon what their subconscious self is telling them. If I were to take right now an oil, and with my psychic abilities, I would test you, or even with kinesiology, I would test it and say, this one makes you stronger. I would know what's good for you, and I would give it in your hand, and I would test it, and you would feel it too, that, oh, it does make me stronger having this in my hand. And just 1 second, and I'll teach you how to do it yourself. So, for example, one of the more expensive, most magnificent oils doTERRA has made is called frankincense. It won't zoom, and it's fine. So let's say that this oil was amazing for you, which it is. You just take one drop and put it up in your mouth, and you will feel how it calms down your nervous system. But that's not the fact, that the point of this. The point is, there is many ways for you to test if this is a good product for you, or if water is good for you, or bananas are good for you. But the thing is, so many people get something great in their hands. They will have a fridge packed with lots of fruit and great nutriments and supplies and all those things that they know does them well. But when 95% of your subconscious self is sitting behind the wheel and you're living your life by your emotions, I can tell you that you're gonna win $1 million tomorrow, like that, and your subconscious self will interfere in that and say, no thanks, it's not for me. So the thing is, there's a tool that I'm downloading now which I know will benefit you. Let's say you have this thing in your home and you know it's good for you, but you can't get yourself to take it, to drink it, to eat it, or whatever it is. Listen to a DVD with some mantras or subliminal messages, whatever it is. What most people do is that they do this. All they see is the obstacle. Instead of going around on like removing the obstacle and going forward, feeling, how does it feel having already taken that supplement, that online seminar, done my cooking or done my cleaning or whatever it might be. So you can overrule your stupid, I'm not mean, I'm just having fun. You can overrule your self-destructive pattern where you always focus on the obstacle. You can overrule that pattern of being led by your subconscious self by not thinking about how or why or when, but just imagine that you're going on to the other side and have already done it. I'm going to give you another example. When I used to have post-traumatic stress disorder for more than 10 years, I would barely have the energy to vacuum clean. I hated it. It's still hard for me, not because the lack of energy, because I don't like it. So what I did was that I took my vacuum cleaner and I put it right there in the middle of the floor. And what I started doing was that once I got the energy, I started vacuuming my home. But rather than having it being all the way in there, hiding in the corner, thinking about it, worrying about it, waiting for the energy level to rise up my system, which could take weeks. It literally could. What I did was I just put it in there, and once I felt up for it, so it's a tricky tool, because I'm also with that example teaching you to not follow your emotions. No, it's a good tool. It's a great tool because I'm teaching you how to overrule the thinking. Let's say that you are afraid of going outside, thinking about it, worrying about it, thinking about the consequences, but fuck it, do it anyway and see what happens. Stop thinking, because when you're thinking and when you're feeling, you're ruled by your subconscious self, and you will never ever get well, get healthy, get better, or change the relationship with yourself, your kids, or your partner, and you won't even save your marriage. So what I did with that vacuum cleaner was that when it felt up from here, from my heart, when it felt right, I did it. And that is how I have developed a unique ability today. I've developed this behavior where it's so easy for me to execute anything because I do it without thinking. So stop the thinking, stop the feeling, and start sensing. Sensing is something you do with your skin, like I feel stronger. But there's also, I feel that I'm sad, and now I'm gonna give you another tool, because when you feel sad, you should actually be saying something within me is sad, because you're not sad with your whole being. If you really were sad, your organs would lower their vibration. What you should be saying is, something within me today feels a little bit sad. One day I was in the tele shop with my mobile phone that wasn't working, and for 3 weeks they had just made me come back and forth so many times. And the most precious and valuable thing that I have and you have, that's our time. So it's important that we manage our time efficiently. Yeah, efficiently. So I went into the teleshop, and again, he was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know how to fix it. And I did like this. I am furious, I told him, just like this. I am so furious because what has been going on here for 3 weeks is not okay. And I was still calm. This is how I get when I get angry or sad or whenever I get something, because I am not my emotions. They're a part of me, but they're not me. And once you start getting that specific separation, that you are not your emotions, they're down here, you are who you choose to be, and when you realize that you have a whole body to exist in, you will get so much more mental capacity. So another tool to figure out whether this oil, a specific on the shelf online seminar, or if a book is good for you, or drinking a specific oil. Another thing you can do is you take a piece of paper. I'm not going to take the paper, but you take a piece of paper and you write on that paper, let's say, frankincense. So what you do is you take, let's say, 3 oils, and everyone has told you that frankincense is the oil that does you best. So you take a piece of paper, and on one paper you write frankincense, on another one perhaps you write geranium or wild orange. So you write that on a piece of paper, flip the piece of paper around, and put them on the floor. You're not supposed to know which paper is where on the floor, and the next step is to stand on the piece of paper. And this is actually a technique to train your intuition. So you get on the floor and you stand on the piece of paper with frankincense written below, and you're like feeling, does it make me stronger? And you can even ask your body. You can see here, I can even ask, frankincense makes me stronger, and I will go back and forth. And look now what happens. Frankincense will weaken me, which means no. So that's another way to bypass your emotions and train your intuition. And then you get on the other piece of paper. You're going to try to stand on all 3 pieces of paper to make sure, how does it stand to stand on paper number 2, paper number 3. And once you've sensed all of them, do I get weaker? Do I get stronger? Do I feel better? What happens to my nervous system? You will know which oil or food or supplements or video seminar that will do you great. So let's say you've got 3 job offerings. You write the first one down on the first paper, and the second and the third. You put them on the floor and you get up on them and you feel. So this is actually how I previously helped my clients choose or get a new name. I've changed my name 10 times. And I would test the name by bringing a piece of paper with my new name with me into my bed, and I would sleep on it. And I would feel in the morning, did I feel energized? Did I feel sad or lost or wobbly? So with this exercise, I'm telling you about sensing. How does it feel in the flesh? Not feel with your emotions. How's your emotions? Well, what you do know about your emotions is that they're not logical, they're not rational, and they're just a small part of who you are. And your emotions is immature. They come from your childhood. So many people today are living their life from their emotions, causing their children to get the childhood that we had, where we were mentally, physically, emotionally neglected, abused. Some of us were even traumatized in severe ways. And by working with my subconscious self, and when you're working with your subconscious self, which I can help you do, teach you how to do, write me an email and I'll guide you somewhere, and I'll teach you some techniques. And by working with our emotional self, our subconscious self, we can increase our ability to live by awareness and not per default. Does that make sense? 95% of the population on 95% of your personality is run by default. That means your subconscious self is like, I drink coffee because it makes me go to the toilet and poop. I'm avoiding, my subconscious self says, I'm avoiding that type of persons because they remind me of my mom and dad. I don't like my husband to cuddle me or kiss me because I have an avoidant attachment love pattern. And why would we make other people wrong when it's us who's out of balance with who we are? So 95% of your daily behavior, it's hard to say, is run by your subconscious self. So what about mine? 80. I can feel it. I just ask and I get the question. 80% of my doing and being every day is led by conscious behavior and acting. And I have another definition you might use or benefit from. The less aware you are, the more challenged you are. The more challenged you are physically with stress, being burned out, autoimmune diseases, when you're struggling with chronic pain, chronic tiredness, it's all caused by the fact that you, up until so far today, have lived your life run by your subconscious self because of what you were taught behind you, which is where your past is. And if you want to expand your daily view, your perspective, and raise your awareness, so many people today are working with their awareness. They're even taking a degree in becoming a psychic. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not going to speak up about that, but you can see sometimes in my face. But the reason why I'm such a great psychic who combines numerology, regression therapy, alchemy, body nutrition and health, body talk, body therapy, sensitivity handling, self-sabotage removal, and etc., and even past life clearing, which I do. The reason that I'm so good at what I do today and have the capacity and range that I do is because I am so aware of my subconscious self. And when I feel sad, I know something within me feels sad. The little girl in my belly. So another tool I've got for you today is differentiating between your head, which is your bigger ego, your brain, and your brain does what you is reacting to what's going on in your subconscious self. And then there's your heart awareness, which is connected to the universe. So that's the third tool I'm going to teach you today. Separate yourself from your emotions. Distance yourself from them. Not suppress them, not deny them. Just say, okay, today something within me is feeling a little bit sad or lost or insecure, whatever it might be. So take your daily temperature. That's the fourth tool. And I'm going to start from the back. The fourth tool is to take your daily temperature, which you do like this. Right hand goes down below your belly and left here, and you say, how do I feel today? And me, the answer I get right now is that I'm calm, I'm content, I'm fulfilled, I'm pleased, I'm happy, I'm joyful. All these emotions is within my system. So, and the third advice was to separate yourself and distinguish. That's the word. So sorry. Distinguish yourself. Oh, there's anger in my system today. Not saying I'm angry today, because you're not. Something within me is angry, and it's your biggest task is to figure out why. We get mad, we women, when we're about to have our period or ovulate, I think it's called. So figure out why you're mad. It's probably because you've abandoned yourself. And the second tool was the tool where you took a piece of paper and write down the things you're wondering about or worrying about. Should I let go of Peter? Should I choose this job? Does this oil do me good? Should I buy a inagi crystal, which feng shui clears my whole apartment, makes me sleep better, calms my nervous systems, which makes it easier for me to do energy work and be centered within my own body. And I even have this one. Let me show you. I have this inagi pad, which I put in my bra, which also helps me raise my awareness and cleanse my aura. And the first tool was the one where you stop thinking, and let's say you want to be more creative. That's the first tool I learned you today. Let's say you want to be more creative and you can't find the energy, and you're thinking about it, you're worrying about it, and you're even beating yourself up for not taking out your creative stuff and in order to become creative. And that's why mine is just here next to me. So what you do is what I do. You put your stuff there. So once you got the energy, you do it. Once you got the energy, you do it. So today I've taught you some tools that will help you increase your intuition. You can also just ask yourself, just stand like that, just stand calm. Make sure you're grounded, make sure you have had some water, make sure that you're okay before you start testing, because you cannot do all this testing from your emotional self. You have to distance yourself